Hey, it's Damien. Just to say, we had some major issues with our recording equipment this week. So, at some point during this podcast, the audio is going to switch to our YouTube feed recording instead of the usual high quality podcast recording that you would normally hear. So, please bear with us. It's not as good quality as it normally is, but the content is still there. In September 1931, the Irvine family, consisted of James, Margaret, and their 13-year-old daughter named Voirrey, claimed they were being taunted by a talking mongoose. Fact or fiction, there is no denying this is a strange tale. This is the Cult Faction Podcast, episode 117, The True Story of Jeff, the Talking Mongoose.
Superman.
Hello and welcome to the Cult Faction Podcast, episode 117, The True Story of Jeff, the Talking Mongoose. I am your host, Damien Hicks, and as ever, I am joined by
Jeff
and
Mongoose
and Brett Summers.
and Paul Hawkins
there we go.
and Steve Irwin.
Oh, yeah.
So tonight, in anticipation of Nandor Fodor and the Talking Mongoose dropping on Amazon Prime this month, we're going to take a look at the true story of the Irvine family's strange little guest. But before that, we'll do our usual waffle. We'll take a look at some trailers.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I didn't
I
know
don't
we had
take
trailers.
out the drop zone. Not I know it's more than my life sport. I have to take
Okay,
the drop
cool.
zone out. Are you cheered up now, have you?
Yeah,
Is that what you were sulking? Is that what the whole hour you've been here so far, you've just been miserable because you
No,
didn't think there was a drop
it's
zone?
fine. I just sit back, relax, and chill this week. But now I get the bonus of
Watching some trailers.
Depends on what trailers you've chosen.
Oh yeah, I haven't got the spiel. I'll have to get the spiel before we do that. But
Okay.
anyway. So then, as tradition dictates, what's been going down in Groovetown? I'll go to... I think I went to you last time when I hosted, so I'm going to go to you.
Okay, not much.
Mhm.
So Saturday was a quiet day for some reason. I think Shell was busy doing housework.
So you just sat there with your feet up,
Well, no, I was keeping Connor entertained, but
moaned when you had to lift your legs for the Hoover.
I don't moan. Ooh, no. No, we got to a point in the afternoon where it was like, actually, you know what? It's nice and sunny outside. Should we go to the rec and just like kick a football around? You and me and Daddy. You and me and Daddy. Me and you. Daddy.
You are, Daddy.
Yeah, I know. But there was a pause there. Me and you.
I
Daddy.
was really confused.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, I don't want to. I just want to sit in and watch YouTube.
Sorry, I've got a horrible feeling I've not pressed record on the phone.
Yeah, so I didn't want to go out and play football. So I said, right, look, we
You
have
go on your own.
to go and enjoy the sunshine. There's,
The
there's,
big boys came along to pick my ball.
there's fresh air out there. We will be going out.
Took
So
my scooter.
we took him for no reason than to get him out of the house to
Yeah.
Miller's Pond. And then
The pub?
we went past the pub
Okay.
and I did get the smell of chips and beer and thought, oh, if Shao was here or if he was a little bit older, I'd take him in there. But no, we went to Miller's Pond, the actual pond. And then as a treat, we went to every childhood dream on a Friday or Saturday night.
Showed in video!
Showed in video!
I was going to say Hooters.
So yeah, I got 2 big bags of sweets for them both. £5 bags.
What's in there nowadays?
Sweets.
Not even video games anymore.
Oh, so there's a
Vapes.
small selection of video
Yeah.
games, but mostly it's the sweet selection, big sweet selection. Not smoothies, but I think we did do smoothies as well, but the slush puppy thing. And then half of it's still vapes. Like all the vapes you could ever want. So they obviously, fair play to
They've
them.
had to adapt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They've done it really well. Even
It's still called Shell and Video.
yeah,
It has to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
You couldn't not call it showing in video. to be
yeah, and
fair.
even if they changed the name, you'd still call it
Yeah.
Showing Video.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so went there, just so I could get him some sweets and come back and watch some film, some kind. I can't remember what it was now. And then Sunday we went to Southsea.
Oh.
Had a stroll along the promenade.
Oh, I do like to be beside the... Sorry.
Got them an ice cream, but they didn't want an ice cream, so they all had milkshakes instead. Whatever. And then we went to...
You've raised some strange children.
I know, right? They were like, "Oh, can we get an ice cream?" Yes, not this one though. Let's go to that one. Okay, what ice creams do you want? Oh, actually, you know what? I might just have a milkshake. All right, okay. Okay, so we did that, and then went to go on the rides, but they're all closed because it's October. So walked back to the car the long way round, and then stopped off at a Harvester on the way home just to cheer them up for just walking.
Yeah, you got to bribe children.
But they all enjoyed it while we were out on Sunday. So, and we didn't really do anything. So that was cool.
Yeah.
Apart from, Harvester being an expensive night out. When we had
it's
food.
not as cheap as it used to be, is it?
Well, we had food in the fridge that actually went off the next day. Roast pork.
Where did it go?
Surely you could have stuck it in the freezer.
Didn't know the date though, because pork normally lasts ages, didn't it?
Yeah.
And we only got it on the Thursday, thinking, oh, that'll be fine for the Monday night. No. It went off. It actually went off on Saturday.
Sniff it or anything, though. Just
don't mess
oh,
around
I know
with pork.
you and dates.
Don't mess around with pork or
just give
chicken.
it a sniff.
No.
Treat it like Kermit's fingers.
No. Yeah. So
Smell the pork.
So yeah, don't eat off pork, kids.
But it's not off just because it says used by.
It doesn't get to midnight.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't go, boom, oh, I'm going to go all off now. It
not
doesn't
like
happen that way. Just give it a sniff.
If something's 2 days out of date, I just won't. I won't
It's not
go for
what?
it.
It's not
No.
porcorella. That
I've got
probably
milk
is
in the
a-
fridge that's like 5 days out of date. It smells fine. Still drinking it.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
okay.
milk.
The same as
It's not
sausages.
Yeah, wait. If you came around my house, I wouldn't give you out of date pork. But maybe I will next time.
Yeah.
Hey,
Do it.
Taste difference. All right, 2 bits of pork. Damien had one. Sarah had the other. 2 days later. How are you doing, David? I'm throwing my guts up.
Who's David?
Damien, I said.
He's got the rabies.
Throwing my guts up. Yeah, well, that pork was 4 weeks out of date.
Yeah, all right. That's. I'm not talking 4 weeks out of date.
4 weeks, yeah, like 2
Just
hours.
sniff
Yeah, it's gone green by
Just
that
sniff
point.
it, it'll be
Yeah.
fine.
You had, no, just as anything, say like you had.
I'm aware.
something,
I just won't mess around with pork or chicken.
But say like you had a chicken
That's good
sandwich.
life advice.
Good advice,
for
Marty.
kids.
You had a chicken sandwich that you just took out the fridge and put on the table in front of you, and you're about to eat it. It's now 2 minutes past midnight and out of date. Would you eat it?
What?
No, that's a fair point.
It's not.
You
It's
have
not
a
2
chicken
minutes out of
sandwich.
it. That's just
or-
2 days.
I'm just saying, like,
there's not a switch in
I'm
the
trying
fork.
to
that goes
gauge.
just
I'm
boom.
trying to gauge where it would be.
So yes, to your point, if there was a chicken sandwich that had been in the fridge for 2 days, my fridge, I
but
wouldn't
the
eat it.
date was like
What?
today, and then it got to
Wouldn't eat it.
midnight.
Wouldn't eat it.
So right, I'll cook chicken for roast on Sunday.
Yep.
I get large chicken, always do. Large chicken that does enough Sunday.
Huge. That's not large. That's huge.
It's huge. It's a huge chicken.
Turkey size.
Right, leftovers go in the fridge. Monday we'll have something else, but then Tuesday we'll use that leftover chicken.
No, I wouldn't do it.
Why?
I just won't. I'm just
3 days you got on chicken once it's cooked.
I just wouldn't
3
do it.
days.
Just wouldn't do it.
To be fair, do you still wear socks once? Because you went for a phase where you wear a pair of socks once and just bin them.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
There's a lot wrong with that.
Yeah, I'm joking. I've got past that stage now. I wash them and wear them again.
So if you've got a chicken sandwich you bought, it's in date, but it goes out of date at midnight.
No, that's
Would
fine.
you eat it at 10
No.
past midnight?
That's fine. I just wouldn't eat it 2 days later, past its use by date. Cool.
Okay.
Anyway, that's me. Move on.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Beef I'm different with.
Oh, beef lasts forever.
Yeah.
Slight exaggeration, but yeah. Fair enough. Right. Okay. Mr. Summers, how was your week been?
No beef.
10 minutes
on. Most of my week has been spent sweating and panicking over my NPQRT, which is the National Professional Qualification of
That sounds
Leading-
like it comes with its own flag.
It should do. So the assignment dropped last week, and then you have like
MLQT rights are human rights.
NPQLT, yes.
What, right, NPQLT.
And National Professional Qualification.
Yeah,
leading,
fight the power!
leading teaching. I didn't talk over
Teachers have rights!
I didn't talk
Teachers
over
have
your-
rights! Yes, you did!
Not when you went to the park and had a lovely time, went to the harvester.
Yeah,
I just heckled
True,
you for your
true, he did.
hatred of chicken.
Yeah.
I don't hate
You do if it's too old.
Yeah.
You're ageist.
you. Preach, brother.
I'll leave it there on the 4th day if it smells alright.
Cut the bits off. But,
Yeah.
yeah, so basically they dropped an assessment, my final assessment, and you have a week to do it. And the whole thing is like a massive case study of a fake school, and you have the Ofsted report, all the different things you get for teaching that, and you have to, like, it's like 40, 50 pages of
Yeah.
shiz that you have to sift through and then write your recommendations and all that.
See,
and if you're looking-
He was telling me about this earlier, and there was a lot that I thought, I bet he bloody loved that. That's like watching a David Cronenberg film for him with his little pad working out.
He's trying to work out a way of passing but still fucking up the
Yeah,
assessor.
Yeah. Still trying to damn the man somehow, you know. I will go along with responding to this essay, and I will get a good score, but I don't like you, and I hate your establishment.
Well, one way you can make the school better. No, I'm not going to say that.
What about outside school?
At the end, outside of school, what have we been doing outside of school? Just sort of chilling, really. I did go out and caught up with some friends on Saturday and watched the rugby.
Sorry, what?
England
You
versus
watch
some,
rugby?
Yeah, I still wasn't that interested.
I don't understand.
My friend Andy was like, come out to the pub, and then I
You were there,
realised
okay.
it was
Yeah.
for the rugby. I did wonder at 5 o'clock while it was sicking. But what was cool though is they had no intention of going out, but they went to one of those country market things, and there was a fete on at the local church of a ukulele band, and then his wife bought some, and this is what it was called, sewer cider,
Oh, God.
Okay.
and it was like 6 points that was it, and then they were like, they just went home, dropped the dog off, and headed to the next pub.
And were never seen from again.
I was just like, why has no one thought of that before? Sewer cider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. I'm gonna copyright that because
But that is like a story though, when people did just like get a few litres of that and then just come back 4 weeks later.
Yeah, that was us.
Yeah,
Once
probably.
upon a time. But yeah, so I enjoyed the rugger, and I'm glad that England won at the end by I think 1 point. Although apparently it was dishonourably played, but we didn't care because we won.
Okay.
And you had
So-
cider.
And one of the Samoan team had like a big blonde mullet and
Cool.
with an undercut.
A mullet and an undercut. all
Well,
in
it's kind
one.
of a mullet-y sort of, but shaved a bit at the sides. You know, like a real big. And but obviously he was Samoan, so no one's going to take the piss.
No.
But so that was rather pleasant. And the rest of it really has just been reading through all this stuff for my assessments. Has been, you know, I got attacked by a cat last night whilst I was doing my assessment. It was rather warm at home, so I didn't have a t-shirt on. And I was typing away about 9:30, and the cat just jumped up, slashed my side, drew blood, and walked off.
Yeah, they do that.
Yeah, it was that sort of like
That's what I told him.
attention thing. So he went in the magic sack to the River of Dreams. No, he
The
didn't.
thing is, the cat's
No,
got the taste for it now.
Yeah.
Well, he's done it before.
Oh.
You'll be walking along and then you walk past and just
Yeah.
at you.
Well, I was just
It was
hoping
close
I had some sort of powers this morning when I woke up, but nothing yet.
It
But
doesn't
but-
work like that.
No, unfortunately.
it does. I saw it in a film. But yeah, so yeah, that's been
Pussy man.
mainly it really.
Cool. I can't top either of that. I've done cool, really.
Yeah.
I don't think I've done anything. I'm trying to remember, and I haven't. I've worked, obviously. Kids, not had kids. I've got kids.
I know.
That already exist.
Yeah.
Um,
I've seen them and everything.
More kids.
playing with them, and that's it.
Cool.
So no, actually, I was about to say sober Saturday, but Sarah and I came out into the studio for what it is.
Pub.
Pub. Yeah, it's a pub. during the
When
week.
Sarah's here, it's a
Yeah,
pub.
this is true because all the lights are gone. Had a few beers, played some cards. That's it.
Cool.
Mm.
I don't think you might have did anything Sunday.
cease to exist.
Yeah,
Cool.
almost. Like I'm in a simulation, and when you guys aren't around, I don't
Oh.
exist. I don't do anything.
I forgot. Also on Saturday, my godson popped in for a flying visit. They were visiting Nick and Debbie Gryan, their son Benjo. They were visiting because Ben, the youngest, is looking at university for next year.
Yeah, right.
And so big shout out to them. Hey guys. And they were looking down at the art one down at Poole, and then popped in for like an hour on the way back. So it was nice to catch up with them as well. So yeah, that was.
That's
Just
cool.
remembered that. I thought, no, there's something else I did.
Oh yeah, it's nice that they've been invited to your new house and I haven't.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, should we move on? What we've been watching?
Well, it was the conclusion of Ahsoka, and whilst I left happy, it was pretty much what we called out the week before, Paul.
Yep.
They kind of did a from and swap round, where the people that were looking for Ezra found him.
Yeah,
and
so,
then he
so
left,
they went.
and they got stuck there. Yeah.
They went to another galaxy, far, far away,
Oh, very far,
Saved
far
him.
away.
and then he leaves them there and goes back. Like, all right,
Well,
see you guys.
The interesting bit,
See you
of
next Wednesday.
whatever they're going to do though, is they left evil Jedi dude. He was stood on the head of the father and the son, but the daughter's head had crumbled because that was from Rebels. The balance of the Force thing, the statues, but the poor man Ray something.
Leon.
I forgot his name.
Parker Jr.
No, but he died in real life.
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
he? So,
yeah.
but it.
Just ignore it. Just
But
carry
it
on.
looks like it's a pivotal thing that he needs to be. There's an echo that's putting me off, but he obviously needs to be there for like this storyline type thing.
Yeah.
But I guess they're gonna recast maybe, or we see him jumping, be consumed by some spiritual
Whale.
force stuff. They've done the whale.
Yeah, I have to say, didn't we have that whole conversation a couple of weeks back?
I don't know, and then it'll be like an essence or something, whilst the blonde angry girl is still running around. Looks like she's teamed up with not the Sand people.
Yeah, I mean, who knows what they're going to do with Carrie, after what they did to Carrie Fisher in the films now, so, yeah.
Yeah, but she was happy with it. But
No one's
I don't know,
seen
his was a shot. I want to say Ray Stevenson. It was something like that, wasn't it? I can't remember his
Some
name.
Ray Stevens, yes.
But no, I enjoyed it, and like we said though, it just sets up the next series now. So will
Or
it
the
be-
film.
That would be good. Will we get that though?
Well, this is...
We did get zombie stormtroopers at last though.
Yeah, we
That
did,
was
yeah.
nice.
Yeah, but this is one of the latest theories, is that the film will be Rise of the Heir or whatever it is.
Oh, Heir of the Empire.
And that's the one. That's the bugger.
Well, that will go before. Well, it'll have to, won't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see, and hopefully have the clone shit explained. And which is what they did in the books, but
I thought
Yeah.
it was okay. Again, it was another one of these ones where Ahsoka didn't appear too much in it.
like we said last week, it's live action Rebels.
Yeah.
You can call it what you
Is that a
like.
good thing or
I really like Rebels, but if you've never seen it, it's kind of
I was waiting
I
for him
don't
to
know.
say, you probably like
Yeah.
Rebels, don't you?
And I was ready to go. I'd regret asking the question, but
I still think you should watch Gravity Falls with Emily.
no, I'm not going to watch a cartoon.
Watch it with your daughter.
She's 4. She's not
Anyway,
interested.
Anyway.
But yeah, if you like Rebels, you're gonna like it because it's the continuation. Obviously, seeing them in the flesh, if you will, is a big deal. And some of these characters have been around for like Ahsoka's probably been around 20 odd years. Well, since the Clone Wars series. I don't even want to know how long that is now. It's got to be for 20 years or
Certainly a long time ago.
in the galaxy. Oh, yes.
Cool.
But I really
okay.
liked it.
You really liked it. Have you? So you've seen it as well?
I thought the last few episodes were actually quite good. I think there was a lot of preamble and a lot of padding in some of the earlier episodes. But no, it was alright.
Cool.
What else have I been watching?
Oh, hold on. And Ezra had a sword. That he made himself a lightsaber.
After that, he made himself a lightsaber, which was a bit because we liked his force foo.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they'll come
Force
back
feed.
and. That was kind of what he was doing. He was kind of like fighting them, but using like
Yeah.
the force with punches and stuff.
It's like, screw you guys, I don't need a lightsaber.
We thought that was quite cool, and then they straight away in the next episode he
Yeah.
builds a lightsaber.
Oh, I can build a lightsaber with all these parts that you've got. Yeah, I used to train
Just
Jedi.
exactly like Kanan's, the person
Yeah.
who trained me. Oh, but yeah, Generation V. I've watched
How you
episodes
carrying on
3
with
and
that?
4 now. Really good. I mean, it is basically we know something the grown-ups don't kind of thing, but through the world of the boys. So there's a lot more to shock and scare and sicken, as well as a good storyline. So I'm enjoying that. My favourite character is probably I've got the name. The Steel Boy. The because he can like punch through stuff and that, and his dad's like he appears to be some sort of legacy superhero, and his dad was like a big time player at one point, but I think he's realising his dad might not be the hero he thought he was, and the sort of corporateness of being a superhero that you see in the boys, the stocks, the shares, and why can't I just be a hero? No, you got to do that. You got to be this, and yeah, that bit plays out quite nicely. But yeah, no, really good so far, and. Will they maintain it now? That's where I'm at now, because we've got to that bit. We've sort of hit the peak, I think, with the story. I'm trying not to spoil anything for anyone who hasn't seen it. We're 4 episodes in. I think there's 8. And it's like, okay, we do need a resolution, but they've got to top what they've done already.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And I don't know if they'll be able to keep people interested.
You mean you mean
Generation V.
the
yeah,
franchise
Gen
in
V.
whole, or just
No, just this series, because
Right.
it's been a really good build up to this point. Now we've got to this point in the story, which is kind of pivotal. And now it's like, so it's either going to go that way and shoot to the stars and be really good, which I hope it does, or it's going to kind of go, yeah, and then pick up in the last episode. In my opinion, that's where I think it is. But I'm hoping, obviously, it carries on going that way. Other things I've watched. What did I say? We said Ahsoka, we said Generation V. I've watched the first Loki, season 2, episode 1. Very, very clever. It's almost like, I don't know, there was about halfway through I thought he might really want a bit of Doctor Who. I think Tom Hiddleston might try for Doctor Who at some point in the future, because he was getting really into his timey-wimey and explanations and stuff. And
You're looking at me like I even know I have no idea what you're talking about. So
it's very tiny.
just fine, just talk to him.
It's
He's
very
got to get in
timey-wimey.
line though, isn't he, for the amount of other people trying to be Doctor Who.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had a new Doctor Who for 2 years, and he hasn't even made his fucking appearance yet.
Exactly. But no, really good so far. It pretty much picks up from the end of the last one. Goes through. Very clever explanation.
Is Thor coming back in this one?
Don't know.
Because again, this is the rumour mill is that
Well,
the
no,
writer...
it's one episode a week. At the
Yeah,
moment,
no, but they meant in this series, or is that the long game for season 3 or something?
It could be. Well, it depends
Because I think
where they go with
the rumour mill is the writers want them to kind of reunite in a really nice way and round everything off. But we'll see.
Well, we've got it's the Kang thing at the moment.
Yeah.
But there were some nice little Moon Knight Easter eggs I spotted. So I don't know if, because people were like, oh, it's not getting a season 2, and like we said, was it ever intended to have a season 2? It's just to introduce the character, so when he pops up later on.
Yeah.
But it depends where they go with it. But Owen Wilson is very good. Loki is very good. Tom Hiddleston and some of the other people pop up are on point. And really good start. Let's see what it does next.
Cool.
And the last thing that I've been watching is on Paramount Plus, and I've only watched the first episode so far, and it's called Bargain. Is anyone familiar with Bargain?
No,
on
you can't
Paramount?
say that I am.
It's not a shopping program. Don't worry. It's a Korean thriller. So,
Right.
and I think it's 6 or 8 episodes. I don't know if that's it at the moment, and we're going to add to it. And in the first episode, it begins. So, spoiler bell, but you need this to try and explain it. And I've gone for the dubbed option at the moment. But yeah, it starts off with this sort of schoolgirl smoking in a hotel, and there's like a man who's come to meet her, and he's paid to take her virginity.
For a bargain price?
I guess for a bargain price. And as that unfolds and she talks to him, whatever, what happens there happens. Nothing sexual or anything. He has to have a shower first, and as he has a shower, she types something into a phone, and her phone rings as well, and she leaves and arranges to meet another man to sell her virginity to a couple of hours later. So you're a bit like, okay, this is a bit. She's a con artist maybe
dodgy.
or something. And then she sort of walks along in this hotel, what goes through a door, and there's like suddenly we walk into this big sort of office kind of control command centre where there's screens up and everything, and there's loads of girls in different school uniforms there all talking or whatever, and people counting money and stuff going on, and she goes up to the guy in the corner and is talking to him, and he's not happy about her, and they have a row about something, which I guess we'll find out a bit later, because she booked her own appointment.
Okay,
she knows
I
what
mean, there's
she's doing.
spoilers, and then there's telling us the whole
but you
episode.
need to...
Yeah,
And then
You
that's
could think
not
some-
even- yeah, but every time you think there's a twist, it's
well, I
not.
don't want to know all the twists. I mean, that's the point. I mean,
And then basically,
He's going on.
I know.
He's not stopping.
oh no, not some cat. Basically,
And then at
something
the end of the
happens-
episode,
They all die.
something then happens with the gentleman who was in the shower.
cool. Okay,
and
just tell me if
then
it's good or
something
not.
happens. No, I'm not even finished yet.
No,
Then-
no,
You don't
I
have
want
to.
you to. No, I don't want to know. Is it good?
Well, this bit is in the
I-
trailer, so it's
Right,
not like
no,
it's-
no, but I'm not going to watch the trailer. You're telling me if it's good. Tell me if it
It's
is
spoil
good.
about it.
Yeah, I know, but I still don't want to know everything about
You're
it.
gonna watch it.
I might do if it's good.
Yes, it's good.
Right, okay,
And
fine.
there's lots of twists about every time you think you cracked it, there's another layer on it. So
Okay.
Cool.
But only the first episode. I've watched the dubbed version, which is a bit cheesy because they picked all the "Hey, how you doing today?" type people to do the voices, and I'm not sure I'm getting the full details of what might be being discussed if I read the subtitles. But but that's on Paramount Plus.
Cool.
It is called Bargain, and apparently it's gonna be the next
Squid.
Thing.
Squid Game. Yeah, that was it. And the only other thing I watched for the sake of it, because everyone was excited at school because it was back, the social
Why?
media
Why
expert
would you
that
do
is
this?
Big
Why?
Brother.
Why?
I
Not
just watched
interested.
one where they
Don't
went
need,
in the
don't need
house.
to. Not important.
I watched one when they went in the
Still do
house, so I knew
Still-
what they were talking
He's
about.
still doing it.
And it was a Benetton advert extraordinaire.
Yeah.
And that's that.
Oh, people dying.
No, just like every tick box there
Oh,
was.
okay.
And when you didn't think there was no one, they found one. But yeah. Give me a couple of weeks. I'll tune back in when they're all crying and eating their own feces live on TV because they look the sort. But yeah.
Surely there's not enough safe spaces in the house.
Well,
for them
apparently the
to-
smoking room is like a little room with like 2 chairs in that's off camera now. Because obviously it would promote smoking maybe.
Doesn't
That's
that
what someone said at school anyway. I'm going off of what.
Oh,
they're
yeah, it
telling
wouldn't
me.
surprise
I've
me,
only seen
'cause-
the first one.
I mean, I know on
But-
what do you call it? What's the jungle, whatever it's called, the jungle thing. They wouldn't. There's like the last time I watched it was like a couple of years ago. There was at least 4 smokers in there, but they had to go, go to the coffee hut where they're allowed to drink and eat what they like. It's no good. No one's plugged into anything.
Oh, okay, I was just saying.
For continuity,
you
let's
were,
just
then
carry
it
on
went.
talking into the microphone
You were,
so you
then
don't
it
get out
went.
of habit. Yeah, I've stopped.
Okay.
We're solely on YouTube now. We've lost the podcast.
Okay. But yeah.
Anyway, right. So, Paul, what you been watching? I don't want to talk about Big Brother. It's not happening.
No, I was about to say, yeah, that was all I've seen. Well, that's all it was.
There we go.
I can't remember now.
No? Okay.
It
Well,
feels so long ago. No, so Ahsoka. So in this week's episode of Ahsoka,
Yeah.
Wheel of Time. It's
Oh, really? You're sticking with that, are you?
Still spinning.
Yeah.
Don't mind that. It's all right. And Yeah, not much. And then for some reason, Knowing was on last night with Nick Cage, Rose Byrne. It's the one where he's an MIT professor and his kid gets handed something that came out of a time capsule from 50 years ago. It's got a code on it and he deciphers the code. Turns out that it's the end of the world's coming.
It does, yeah, it rings a bell.
It's an alright film.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nick Cage, isn't it?
Yeah, can't go wrong.
2 hours of him.
Yeah.
And Rose Byrne. That
Hashtag Cage Watch.
Exactly.
That's it.
That's it. That's all you watched.
Probably.
Bloody hell. It's a first.
Wasn't
Busy
it
week
you?
of walking.
Yeah. So I finished Hijack. Forgot what it was called for a minute there.
Oh yeah. What do you think?
It was a really good series. Ending was a little
Yeah.
far fetched, to be fair. I like what they were doing with the short selling thing. That was really clever, but the whole actual when they're on the tarmac, the planes landed. That a little too.
At least
too far.
they ended it though.
That's true.
I did worry that they were going to try and keep dragging it out. There was
Yeah.
points throughout that season that I thought, oh my god, are they going to go to a different
there's only like
country?
3
and-
episodes left. They're not going to
Yeah.
wrap this up. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. But yeah, and so when that finished, we were scrabbling around for something to watch, and found The Changeling on Apple TV. Don't ask me who's in it because I haven't written any of that stuff down.
Is this from the original film? The
No,
Changeling,
so this
or
is
was it
based on
new
a
one?
novel by someone, obviously, which again I didn't write down. It's new. It's new on Apple. There's still 1 episode to drop.
Okay, maybe that's.
There's loads of. There's hundreds of books, and
Yeah,
films
okay.
called The Changeling, so
Yeah.
which kind of put me off. But I thought, well, we'll give it a go. It's one of those things where it's actually quite good, but it lets itself down by trying to be something that it's not. It's a lot of style over content. It's one of those. It has a narrative where it's all over the show. They'll have some past history in the 60s and 70s, and some childhood things. Someone who's in the 80s.
Yeah.
All the same cat, or more. It's the same family, based around the same family. But just some of the scenes go on for too long, which is a shame because like in the penultimate episode, which is the last one that dropped, I think it drops every Friday. It's almost a kind of acting masterclass by the woman that's playing the main lead's mum.
What's the sort of what's the gist? What's the
It's supposed to
story
be a
now?
horror type thing. Basically, the gist of it is
Is this the one where they have a kid?
Yeah,
but
they
it
have a
comes
kid.
back and they're not sure whether it's own or possessed or something like that.
sort of, yeah. So,
Yeah, so
it's
it-
basically it's supposed to be a bit, kind of. Is she got?
Baby?
No, you know what? The changeling myth folklore thing is that
There's a
fairies take a baby
Yeah,
and they replace it with
yeah.
something else, right? So she firmly believes that that's what's happened. Obviously, the dad and people around her don't, but there's more to it than just that. There's some stuff in the past.
Okay.
So it's a really good
Sounds
premise.
interesting.
And like I said, the penultimate episode is pretty much, I think most of the episode, if not all the episode, is the lady that plays the main lead's mum, and it's her in a room, more or less. And she's just phenomenal. It's like it is an acting masterclass.
Yeah.
But in the same token, it adds nothing because there's something to add, but they do that in the last 2 minutes of that episode.
Like the old episodes of EastEnders where it would just be 2 characters
Yeah.
and everyone go, oh, wasn't that acting amazing? It's like, a bit
It
boring
was,
though,
but
wasn't
yeah, exactly. And this is it. All you want to know is what part she has to play in what's been happening all the way through. So, but then that lasts for like the full 45 minutes of the show, which is annoying because, like I say, it's a shame because she's really good in it. But we just got to watch the last episode to find out what's. Because it's about postnatal depression and all that sort of stuff. So how much of it is in her mind and how much of it is true, whatever. I'll let you know next week whether I'd recommend watching it.
Cool.
Because sometimes you get through an entire series and you're annoyed, but then you get the last episode and think, "No, that was really good." That because it all wraps it all up.
Cool.
So
I'll
we'll
wait
see.
until next week then.
Yeah,
Cool. We'll look forward to that one.
that's it, isn't it?
If that's all you've been watching, yeah.
Yeah, that's all I've been watching.
Cool. Yeah. That's it then.
That's it then.
Okay,
Drop zone.
Drop zone.
right. It's time for the drop zone.
Yay!
Eventually, yay! I hear you all say. We're going to start with the pond.
I'm hoping this is a Doctor Who spin-off.
No, that would be cool, wouldn't it? I haven't really written a lot of blurb down, so I'll give you the tagline from IMDb.
Yeah.
Anthropology professor was kicked out of his university for claiming to be on the threshold of an apocalyptic discovery. Someone or something is still interested in his work.
I thought it is in the pond.
I like it.
Yeah?
I'm in. Who doesn't love a good folk horror? And I like the way that the pond does look like the ring with the logo as well. But, you know, they did something to it. They put something together. It looked a bit freaky. There were some really scary noises that sounded and echoed through my head. It really, you know, it done that. And my only worry is, have we seen the best bits?
Yeah, that's my thinking as well. But it's right up my street. Folk horror, I like that kind of thing.
I don't know, it looked a bit like a student uni film project to me, if I'm honest.
But we can judge them on their output, not on their budget.
Oh yeah. But it's like everything. I think the whole point about that film is you're not going to get it from a trailer. It's going to be the build up of all the suspense and the twists and turns as you go through it.
Tell you a good one, Damien. I think it's on Amazon now. Look for Dogged by Richard Roundtree. That's a good folk horror.
That rings a bell.
It's an English film.
I shall look for it.
Yes. I'm giving it a thumbs
You're
up.
giving the trailer a thumbs up?
Yes.
Or that film a thumbs up?
Thumbs up.
It's a thumbs up from me.
It's a thumbs up.
It's a Midland. I'm going to let you two watch that first.
All
I
hate
think.
students.
Yeah.
No, it's just it's a tough one to get from a trailer for it, isn't it?
Okay. Fair enough.
Okay, what's next?
What's next? Next.
Next.
Well, with Christmas coming up and all,
Ooh.
thought we'd like a Christmas film.
Is it a horror Christmas film?
Could be.
Oh!
You can think about that as I give you the title. It's a Wonderful Knife.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So after saving her town from a psychotic killer,
Britney Spears.
Winnie Carruthers' life is less than wonderful. When she wishes she'd never been born, she finds herself in a nightmare parallel universe where
I like a
without
parallel
her,
universe.
things could be much, much worse.
I do like a parallel universe.
I quite like. Look at that.
So do I.
Genius. You know what they've done? They found a way of getting on that fucking Hallmark set when they're not making their film.
When they're not making
and
a
they've
Christmas
made
film.
something
Yeah.
else on it. And like, rather than just remake the same film every time, they've made that. And yeah, I always like sort of time parallel type thing. No, I didn't exist. What happened? You weren't there. Now there's the consequences of the actions. You changed it type thing.
So to be to be fair, when I saw the title, I just thought, oh, it's another slasher. I obviously thought of It's a Wonderful Life, but I thought, oh, they're not gonna.
No, they went there.
But they went there, and I thought that's just genius.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be a slasher. It's not going to win any Oscars or change the world.
I like the twist that we know who it is, so she's got to stop him as well, rather than it's a mystery or you know, oh, I'm the killer now because I've changed it or whatever, you know. And I'm old. I've forgotten his name now.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
He was the kid and everything, one or 2 years, but you know, people have wanted to kill him for.
Do you know when?
Where? I told you
Shudder.
I haven't written any of this stuff.
Shudder.
Shudder. Okay.
Yeah, I think the other one said Shudder as well. So,
cool.
But that doesn't necessarily mean it's only on Shudder. But they've got
if it's available to stream, I'll be watching that around Christmas.
But yeah, no, that looks like a nice family Christmas film.
So, thumb verdict.
Thumbs up for me.
Thumbs up
yes.
for Silent Knife.
It's a wonderful knife. Oh, I'm kicking ass today with these trailers. Okay, next up. A horrible toxic accident transforms downtrodden janitor Winston Goose into a new evolution of hero. We all know it.
It's the reboot.
It's the reboot. It's the Toxic Avenger. Gentlemen, please.
I just want to watch it.
Yeah.
As a fan of the original series that I have on Blu-ray somewhere, and the cartoon series because they made it into a kids' cartoon
Believe
series.
it or not, they did that.
I'm happy to see it
Yeah.
reinvented as a gift for a next generation.
But they look
They're
like they
keeping.
kept
Yeah,
close
I mean
to
that
their-
is, looks all. No, it's not obviously not shot for shot, but that's very reminiscent of
Yeah.
the Burger King,
Try
whatever
Mac.
it was,
Oh, yeah.
of the original. So
It looks like a love letter
yeah,
or an ode to, as opposed to reboot.
yeah.
Because the new is Peter Dinklage, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
He's the new Toxic Avenger. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, that'll be cool. And what I liked in that, I thought that was you got who that was aimed for right in the trailer. You know, cool.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it is.
Hashtag wet bread. Yeah, but that's nice. That's just cool.
Yeah.
No, yeah, looking forward to that. So thumbs up from me. Big thumbs up.
Have
2
we got
thumbs
a
up.
date for that, Matt? Yeah.
No, there is, and that's not me not being me being lazy. There is currently no date for that one
Is,
yet.
is it one of those where they're waiting for the strike to end to promote?
Quite
it,
possibly,
probably?
yeah.
But yeah,
Cool. So that was the drop zone.
Well done.
Yeah.
yeah.
See,
3 thumbs up for me. I
3
don't know
thumbs up
what's
for me.
happened.
Yeah, you're liking the drop zone now, aren't you?
not necessarily, but you know, I thought it was a good one.
Yeah, no. 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Cool.
I thought all 3 were good, to be honest. But you know.
Yeah, me too. I think number 1 might end up being disappointing, but there we go. That's life.
Yeah.
That's life.
Right. This is the moment we've all been waiting for.
Oh,
This
yes.
is why you are listening to the podcast.
Are we doing a podcast?
Apparently so.
It's Mongoose time.
It's Mongoose time. So this is the true story of Jeff, the talking mongoose. In 1916, James and Margaret Irvin take up residence in Dawlish Castle, a farmhouse on the Isle of Man. The Irvins are sheep farmers, so there's 70 acres of land and stunning views on the Isle of Man who make this countryside the perfect spot to set down roots and start a family. 2 years later, they have a baby girl called Vory, and life is good, and for the next 13 years it stays that way.
Not for the baby girl.
Why not?
Called Ball.
Vory.
I know, yeah,
She's
I
called
know.
Vory.
Vory or Vory, one or the other.
Does she wear a hockey mask?
No.
Yeah.
But then, in September 1931, one evening the family hears some strange sounds coming from inside the walls. Initially unconcerned, they believe it to be a rat or a mouse. It's a farmhouse after all. Soon, though, it becomes annoying, and as that sound is coming from the wall that separates the 2 bedrooms, James decides he's going to do something about it. He sets up a trap to try and catch whatever is making the noise, but it never takes the bait, and the scratching noises continue night after night. Eventually, James is so annoyed by this, he takes to sleeping with a shotgun next to his bed. If the creature shows his face, he's going to be ready for it. But it never does. A month later, the family finally catch a glimpse of their noisy house guest. It's small, it's furry, it's yellow with black specks along its tail. Kind of like a ferret or a weasel. But the little bugger moves too quickly for them to get a shot off. I had to do that then because I couldn't scroll.
Mhm.
Every night for the following month, the noise continues. Tapping and hissing can be heard from inside the walls, but the elusive culprit is nowhere to be seen. By this point, James is losing the plot. He takes some rat poison and places it on some bread and leaves it at the top of the stairs in the hope the little mischief maker will simply eat it and die. That night, the family are roused by the sound of piercing screams, as if an animal is dying in pain. This goes on for close to half an hour. When it finally stops, Vory goes to the top of the stairs to investigate. When she gets there, the bread is untouched and there's no rodent to be seen. From this point, things only get more perplexing. By December, the scratching and hissing sounds have been replaced by what James describes as human sounds. In his retelling, he likens the noise to that of a child, but a few octaves higher. It's a bit muddled, but it's like a baby learning to speak. They can make out English words if it's mimicking words and phrases the Irvins use around the house. This being 1930s Isle of Man with all the folklore and mystical thinking that goes along with that, James decides rather than take the family and scarp, he's going to befriend the little critter. Over the next couple of months, he begins to teach it new words and phrases, which the rodent repeats back. This moves on to songs and nursery rhymes, and eventually this little creature gets a grasp of the English language. He is now able to communicate fully with the Irvin family, and he finally reveals that he's not a weasel. He's not a stoat. What is he?
He's a mongoose.
He's a mongoose.
He's a mongoose.
He's a mongoose.
He's a motherfucking mongoose.
And he wishes to be called Jeff. Any thoughts so far?
Well, I've read less believable things.
Well, we know that the family weren't getting much sleep.
And
do you
the
know?
Isle of Man is
Because
known
you said
for
he
its
doesn't sleep
mongoose.
much because of this scratching all night. So sleep deprivation with a cross between a rat poisoning
That's good. I like that.
and some local alcohol.
Local like a moonshine.
Yeah. Not moonshine. I mean, let's face it, it's an Isle of Man. Imports would be bloody expensive,
Even back in 1931.
particularly back in the
Yeah.
1930s.
Okay. Shall I carry on?
Yeah, well, please do.
You're not buying this, are you?
I just like the way
This is the true story of Jeff the Talking Mongoose.
It's a story that was reported. Yes.
The true
Fine.
story of Jeff
Right.
the Talking Mongoose.
Well, no, it's a story that was
No
potentially
one was
reported.
freaked by this at this point.
No, this is the Isle of Man. There's all, this is like pixies and fairies. They all go
We
into that
commend-
stuff. Yeah.
What
Not that I'm
we-
disparaging the Isle of Man, but, it's 100 years ago. So,
Your coins are weird.
and he got strange cats. Over time, Jeff becomes obsessed with Vori. He follows her everywhere, even to school, and when he can't be with her, his behaviour borders on the creepy. He watches the Irvins sleep, or in the middle of the night, he'll take a spoon and just continuously clang it on a metal saucepan to keep the household awake.
So sleep deprivation again.
Being caused by the mongoose, though.
No, is it though?
Noticing his obsessive behaviour towards their 13-year-old daughter, the Irvins decide to move her into their bedroom. This sends Jeff over the edge. He starts banging on the door, screaming, "Wherever you move her, I will find her!" He's not a happy bunny. Mongoose.
Mongoose.
With no option to move and no chance of catching the mini stalker, the Irvins just have to put up with the situation. Jeff continues to follow Vori to school or stare at Margaret as she undresses. If they challenge him, he becomes aggressive and throws stones at them. Jeff finally reveals to them that he is a ghost in the form of a mongoose, and he intends to haunt them forever.
Mm-hmm.
Dum, 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 dum. By now it's 1932, and word has got out about the Irvins' unusual house guest, with various locals also reporting seeing the little mischief maker. Postman John Moore visits the farmhouse, and this being the 1930s, the Irvins invite him in for a cup of tea. Not long after sitting at the kitchen table, Moore begins to hear banging coming from within the walls, and then Jeff speaks, or rather shouts, "Put on the bloody gramophone!" Shocked, Moore casts his eyes around the room and can see the entire Irvin family is accounted for. James, Margaret and Vori are all there in the kitchen, so could not possibly be shouting from another room. This has now become the only topic of conversation across the entire island, and it soon crosses the Irish Sea, where it comes to the attention of famous paranormal investigator Harry Price.
Yeah.
He had to get involved at some point.
Obviously.
Unable to visit the island himself, Harry sends one of his employees, Captain Harold Dennis. Any comments so far on this bit?
So many.
Yeah.
It's just weird. It's like,
I mean, child services obviously weren't that prolific in those days. Otherwise,
but-
that kid would have been taken away.
not on the Isle, but there's only like 20 kids on the Isle of Man, aren't there?
No, it's
So
bigger
like,
than you think. I was surprised how I did some researches.
Yeah.
No, I haven't got the exact square kilometerage, but it's a large place.
Sizable island.
Yeah. Anyway, on February the 26th, 1932, Captain Dennis arrives in Dawlish Castle. James gives him a full breakdown of the events, and now, by this time, Jeff has chilled out a bit. He even hunts rabbits for the family. He has even revealed more about it, who he actually is. As Jeff tells it, he was born in India in 1852. 20 years or so ago, he trekked across Egypt, stowed away on a boat, and eventually ended up on the Isle of Man.
So Jeff is Indian.
Jeff is Indian. He's an Indian mongoose.
It's a
I mean, that would
common
make sense. Mongoose.
It's a
Yeah, they're
common-
not native to the Isle of Man.
No.
It's a common Indian name, Jeff.
He wants to be called Jeff.
Doesn't
he didn't
he?
say that
Yeah.
was his name.
Thank you,
Okay.
Paul.
He
Yeah,
identifies as Jeff.
he identifies
And a
as
mongoose.
Jeff. Identifies as a
mongoose.
mongoose called Jeff. That'd be the next. No, stop it. James shows the captain around the house, pointing out all the places that Jeff likes to hide. However, in the 2 or 3 hours the captain is in the house, he experiences nothing supernatural. He doesn't hear or see Jeff. Disappointed, he prepares to leave. As James is walking him outside, the captain hears a high-pitched voice ask, "Who is that man?" They both rush back inside, but Jeff is nowhere to be seen. The captain stays for another hour, but again, nothing happens. This begins to plant a seed of doubt in the captain's mind. Surely this must be a hoax. Both Margaret and Vory were still inside the house when the voice was heard. The captain returns early the next day, determined to get to the truth. He stays all day, and as before, nothing happens. That is until around 5 p.m. The captain, James, and Vory are all in the kitchen having a cup of tea, when all of a sudden, from out of nowhere, a needle flies across the room and hits the teapot. Margaret is out in town, so again, all of the household is accounted for. When Margaret returns, she's annoyed that Jeff still hasn't made an appearance and is infuriated that despite there being someone in the house who actually wants to talk to him, he is still hiding. She and Vory storm upstairs to where the little critter likes to hide to convince him to make an appearance. The captain listens from the bottom of the stairs and hears Jeff arguing back. He clearly hears a voice say he does not want to talk to an unbeliever. Determined to catch a glimpse, the captain rushes up the stairs. However, the noise frightens Jeff and he scurries away before the captain gets there. Disappointed, the captain returns to England none the wiser to what is actually going on.
So what year was this at this point? I'm just
By
trying
this
to place
point,
it in
we
history.
are in
1932.
1932.
Okay, so we're between wars.
Between wars.
Okay, I'm just trying to... Post-Titanic.
Yes.
Just trying to think what else would be going on at that point. Post-Wall Street, so maybe...
I don't think Wall Street would have affected the Isle of Man that much.
affected the whole whirlpool.
I don't know, because it would have affected Ireland, and then you know it is between the two, and it's smack bang in the middle of the Irish Sea.
Is there any more?
Oh yeah, there's more of this.
Okay.
I'm not finished done yet.
I'm just trying to pick. It would have been
This is the main
Stein-
event before this goes on.
Steinbeckian times.
That's the Great Depression, so that's
Late 20s, early 30s, when the migrant workers were targeted to a bunch of men. Maybe a decade before.
I'm not
Where
sure.
are you going with this?
Yeah.
Migrant workers in the States compared to some guy from India that's dead.
Well, I'm just trying to get the historical period correct
Okay,
in my
that's
head.
cool.
So I can
Victoria
check
was
the
dead.
argument.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. 3 years later, the captain returns to the Isle of Man. This time he meets James in town, and the two go for lunch and have a stroll along the beach as they make their way back to the farmhouse. Along the way, the captain picks up a daisy and attaches it to his lapel, as she did back then, obviously, you know. This is 1935. When they arrive at the farmhouse, Margaret is waiting for them. According to her, Jeff had been following them around town. He had arrived back before the pair and told her everything they did while they were out and about. She knows what James had for lunch and even knows about the daisy. As you explain, them apples. Intrigued, the captain decides to stay again. He spends the next couple of hours in the sitting room with James and Margaret while Vory attends to the animals out on the farm. Eventually, the captain finally hears a voice coming from inside the walls. The voice says something that sounds like, +4s, Oxford bags. The captain is unconcerned with what the words actually mean, because at this point, he's confident that all three members of the household are accounted for, so it cannot be one of them speaking. When he returns to England, he tells Harry Price that this might actually be the real thing after all. Shortly after, the Irvins post a sample of Jeff's hair to Harry Price, who sends it to a pathologist at London Zoo. I can't say that word now. The pathologist doubts the veracity of the claim and believes it's more likely to have come from a long-haired dog. At this point, Harry decides to visit the island to see things for himself. The following July, Harry and BBC radio broadcaster Rex Lambert travel to the Irvins farmhouse, and as before, nothing happens. James explains that Jeff has become more adventurous and spends most of his time exploring the island. They sometimes don't see Jeff for weeks at a time. Harry and Rex stay for a couple of days, but Jeff doesn't make an appearance. Price is obviously beginning to have his doubts about the veracity of these claims. However, he struggles to see why the family would create such an elaborate hoax. After all, they're not gaining financially from it, and if anything, it's making their lives more difficult. Local townsfolk are becoming annoyed with the shenanigans, and Vory, who's now 17, is often teased at school for living in the spooky house and has no real friends to speak of. With no evidence and no sighting, Harry decides to return home and just mark the whole thing as unsolvable. In 1937, Nandor Fodor, the main man, of the International Institute for Psychical Research, stayed with the Irvins for a week. Again, Jeff chose to remain silent and out of sight. Fodor didn't think any deliberate deception had occurred and created a complex psychological theory to explain Jeff based on a split-off part of Jim Irvin's personality, something we would later go on to refer to as split personality. Over the next few years, Price keeps the case open, and in 1938 he meets with businessman and friend of the Irvins, Charles Morrison. Morrison swears he has heard Jeff talk on 2 separate occasions, and that his own son has even seen Jeff's beady little eyes staring out from under a bed. He is convinced that none of the family could be responsible for any of the strange goings on. Sometime in 1938, Jeff decided to leave the farm and was never heard of again. James Irvin died in 1945, and Margaret and Rory sold the farm to a man called Leslie Graham, who, in 1946, claimed to have shot and killed Jeff, although the body he produced did not match the description they had of Jeff himself. Over the years, until her death in 2005, Rory maintained that she had nothing to do with the creation of Jeff, and if it was a hoax, it was not perpetrated, got there in the end, by her. There you go. That is the true story of Jeff, the talking mongoose.
So it's never actually come out what it is either.
Nope. That's why I said when we did the trailer, it's one of the most famous sort of
Yeah,
Fortean
but even like I forgot their
paranormal
names
cases.
now. The fairy girls coughed up in the end, didn't they?
Oh yeah, the ones that fooled
Yeah.
not Robert Louis Stevenson.
Conan Doyle.
Conan Doyle, wasn't it? Yeah.
Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, yeah. Well, it's always intriguing stuff like that, and it's more how they got away with it in those days. Because obviously, I don't really believe there was a talking mongoose.
No.
It's always
I mean,
like,
if you're going to make something up, it wouldn't necessarily be a talking
Why
mongoose.
not? Well,
from
then
India.
so what you're saying is it's too strange not to be true.
No, I'm just saying.
Occam's razor.
If you were
Yeah.
going to make something up, well, no, that's bad.
What are you saying about my mind?
I mean,
You're in the worst room for that argument.
it is an
Yeah.
odd story from someone from the Isle of Man to mention someone that's come over from India via Egypt is dead and has come back as a mongoose.
I mean, that would have been the soldier trails at the time where they would have.
I mean, do we
gone-
know if the guy
in
from
the
the Isle of
colonial-
Man was in the wars at all?
It would have been because there was
He would have been,
conscription
yeah.
in those days.
Yeah, he would have been. He would have served in the First World War. Oh,
Yeah, but
no,
depends
hang
on-
on. Depends. There's no. I haven't found any record of it, and it does depend on because obviously if he was
If he was a
Irish.
farmer or if he
Oh
was...
yeah. No, but I think they still had conscription. Did
No.
the Irish not? Okay.
no, because that's the height of a lot of antagonisation, shall we say, between England and Ireland. So
Yeah, I mean, when you start going through some of the initial things where he kept, trying to befriend the daughter in more than one way, and then stare at the wife when she was naked, it did seem to suggest maybe it is a split personality with this.
Just,
Fella
it's,
just having,
it's now known as dissociative
Yeah.
identity disorder.
Wow.
I know what it's
You
now
can't,
known
yeah,
as.
but you can't say split personality.
Well, you can because I just did.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
We're up to date with all the lingo here.
Really? Because we still have some of the footage from earlier.
That was the Dalek.
Yeah, I mean, it's an odd one, isn't it? I mean,
Could they have radio equipment in the wall? Like to make the noise.
well, they would have had, in those days. I mean, as you know, when we're looking at the whole history of the last, decade and last century, perhaps, they would have had radio devices in those days.
Well, yeah, of course it did.
Yeah, so
And,
they could have mocked something.
But these are sheep. He's a sheep. He's a sheep farmer. Not necessarily. Well, he couldn't afford
He's
to
got a
move.
radiogram.
Not necessarily. If it's to be believed that Jeff was out and about in town, he could have.
Well, but we don't know where the daughter was at that point.
Or was there somebody
she was out
else in
tending
on
to
it?
the animals.
Was she there?
Just saying.
Exactly.
Yeah, but he could have said, "What we're going to do is I'm going to take them to town and then I'm going to make him put a flower on."
Well, she'd have spotted the flower when he walked in.
Yeah.
I wasn't too worried about that. Oh, he's got a daisy. Oh, that's from like one of the daisies down the field. Oh, did oh, so Jeff told me you picked a daisy and put it in your lapel.
And there it is. Yeah, no, I'm with you on that
yeah,
one.
yeah,
But,
I agree.
but
yeah,
how does she know what he had for dinner?
We'll walk back
Because he had the same thing every time we went to dinner for the
Maybe.
pub. Yeah,
And it's a local pub in the Isle of Man. I'm imagining they don't have too much of a selection.
yeah, probably.
Should we go for the charcuterie board? Or I don't know, I feel like a ploughman's.
Yeah, I'd say it's a ploughman's and a ham, egg and chips.
And no one wants a ploughman's because it's a roll.
No, a decent
And a pickled
ploughman's. A decent ploughman's
Nah,
would be
it's
good.
a waste
This is
of
a
time.
pub.
Yeah, I know. That's the problem.
Shitty ploughman's.
You hardly get any.
Yeah. Anyway,
I admire the trade, but not their food.
And why didn't the
Ploughman's.
first guy, as opposed to just popping in for an hour or two, you kind of think, if I'm a serious, detectorist or whatever, I'm going to stay over.
Yeah, did no one stake them out and just
Yeah.
watch from afar? Or...
where's he going to stay? It's only a 2-bedroom farmhouse.
Sleep on the bloody floor, wouldn't you? If you're that serious to uncover the
Don't
truth.
forget these. This is almost 100 years ago. Stiff upper lip and all that, and English gentleman not going to sleep on the floor. He's gonna get rooms somewhere.
No, Boy Scouts and start that good stuff.
But he didn't. He,
I don't
Harry
think we're going
Price
to call
was-
that good stuff.
What you got against Boy Scouts?
Oh, more Baden Powell.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but the scouting movement. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Anyway, yeah, but if you were a serious investigator, you would have,
oh,
made,
Harry Price was a serious
made
investigator.
camp in the living room or whatever, and even experiment, perform some experiments on the walls or whatever. Look for cold spots or whatever the equivalent in those days. Yeah,
Wow.
we've seen the films. They'd have taken photos. They'd have taken photos to try and capture the site.
There are photos, not of Jeff, obviously. But there's
Well,
photos of the
obviously not
house.
of Jeff.
You'll see them on the video when I make it.
Right. Okay.
But yes, there's photos of Voiry. There's photos of Jim and the wife Margaret,
The
and
clothes
photos of
on
the
the
house. Yes, most definitely.
Tell you what, if time travel ever does happen in our lifetime, I'm just going back with a microphone in one of those things and hiding it somewhere and just having a laugh. Don't go to Paris. Just I don't need that Pete. But yeah, just freak people out and stuff.
I mean, it is a bit of an odd one. As I said, it seems a bit of an odd story to make up.
Yep.
As you said, if the family aren't actually trying to get anything for it, like
No, they're not
selling the
gaining from this
story,
in any way, shape, or form.
and also the locals would have got a bit
Yeah.
fed up. We've got another tourist looking for them again.
Yeah.
Just stop with the lies. You're making the rest of the Isle of Man look
and,
mad.
I didn't. There was no real way to put it into the narrative, but it made tabloid press
Yeah.
continuously over here, and then obviously on the Isle of Man for
So do you think they were a bit
Every now- every-
excommunicated from the locals? Then
pretty
because
much.
of
Yeah,
their
they
hijinks?
got annoyed by it all. So
Yeah.
there was nothing to gain from it. But yeah, I think if it's a hoax, it's ventriloquism. Throwing the voice.
Ventriloquism.
That's the one.
That's a good shout.
But is
But
it?
how does you can't really do that from another room.
No, but you can you can make your voice sound like it's coming from another room, can't you? Yeah, like you look. Oh, Rob Brydon with his little man in a box. That's quite convincing.
I thought he just uses his microphone to.
No. I've seen him doing that on.
Who did the
like a live-
cigarette?
What?
Was it Harry Enfield that used to do the cigarette?
I don't know.
Or no, was it Jack D? And he'd be like, and he'd do the puppet thing, and then he'd like start smoking it, and he'd like do the screaming as he was smoking. And it sounded like he was dying,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it was just like, and then he'd start out and put it back in the box. No, it was like that. I think it's Jack D.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can't smoke on
But
stage
again,
anymore.
no.
So it's-
What would be the motive?
The only thing I can think of, well, no, there isn't. I can't think of a motive. The only thing I can think of why it all suddenly stopped is obviously because we're getting close to the Second World War. But to keep it going, if it is a hoax,
What Jeff didn't want to be
yeah,
subscripted.
no. But what I mean, what can they gain now? Because once war breaks out, you're not gonna.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
that you're gonna
And
get.
again, it's that thing that creating something is easy. Maintaining it and keeping it going is like the
Yeah,
hard.
they kept it
like,
going
like
for
this podcast, keeping it
Yeah.
going. It's the
Seven
hard.
And would that
years.
be another way, of it, as opposed to poaching rabbits? Maybe it wasn't us; it was Jeff.
I don't necessarily know whether. I mean, it's their own land, isn't it? So
Oh, okay.
70 acres of farmland. So
You probably
There's a
want
rabbit
rid
on
of the
there.
rabbits, wouldn't you?
yeah,
Maybe control. Did he use it to control his wife and daughter?
Oh, that's a good point. I don't want my daughter finding a husband, so I'm going to make it look like we're a mad family.
We're a mad family. So on a side note, so Price was suspicious of James. So on 2 separate occasions, he tried to get Vori to go over to London for tests or whatever with a female chaperone, but
Of course.
Jim wasn't having a bar of it.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah, but yet she didn't even fess up later on.
No,
when they
so
were
she
dead.
died in 2005, and even at that point, she said she had nothing to do
Have we got
with
their
it.
grandchildren or anything now?
I don't know, I've not
I
gone
don't know, you know,
that far.
they found a diary of.
Well,
You
well
know,
no, otherwise
a tape, a reel,
it would have been out there, wouldn't it?
a reel of Jeff noises.
Yeah, I think, but if there was anything like that, it would have been discovered by now.
Yeah, I'm surprised the person that bought the house, didn't rip out a wall and just have a look for stuff. I would have. Then I'd have burnt
You could go there now.
I'd have burnt it down.
You could go to the house. It's derelict now.
I'm not going to.
You could see if there's like a gap between the 2 bedrooms in the wall, like a
Probably
cavity.
would have been in the walls in those days.
What, cult faction road trip?
Yeah, let's do that.
So the Isle of Man.
We've had worse journeys.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, so my theory is ventriloquist is throwing your voice. I can't say that word. So it's just whether it's, I don't know if it's Maury or Jim was losing the plot a little bit, being out on the moors,
Yeah.
farming those sheep.
It's a bit of an isolationist place as well, isn't it? So
Yeah,
if you've
windswept
gone back,
and all that.
if he did have a military history as well, maybe there's some sort of
PST.
Yeah, that's a good point.
yeah.
If he wanted to serve in the war, as
Yeah.
well, because that was brutal, and it was the first, of its kind. If you like.
Yeah, I think we need to do some digging on James, is it?
James Irvin.
Yeah. To see if he did serve out in the war, if he had, post-traumatic stress.
That's right.
Okay, so
What is-
maybe we can have an update in a couple of weeks' time on the curious case of Jeff the Talking Mongoose.
And I'm sure we'll just watch the film and it'll explain it all for us.
I don't know. So it's actually billed as a dark comedy. So I think there's going to be a lot of artistic license,
When's it out?
it streams it's this month on Amazon Prime. They still haven't done a date for it yet, but I don't know whether it's going to be it'll be a premiere thing, won't it? Jobby.
Yeah.
Home premiere that you got to pay for. No doubt.
Well, actually, if it's a Prime movie, it might not be.
Well, the original trailer said only in theatres, so
Okay, yeah, it might be.
whether so I'd imagine. Anyway, so there we have it, gentlemen. That was
The
the
curious
case of Jeff the Talking Mongoose.
Like I said, they gain nothing from it either. So
Well, the
That's
dad
what makes it-
might have, though, because
Well,
he
it
gets
might
to
if
have
it was-
more time with his daughter.
sphere of influence.
Yeah, but more time with your daughter is not farming, putting food on the table.
Yeah, but he doesn't want her going anywhere. He's got control over her and his wife.
Maybe.
Pissed.
I like the dissociative personality thing.
Maybe. Yeah.
It could be a bit of that where it's like, Jeff won't do that. Will you, Jeff? No.
It's an enigma.
Yeah.
It's a
It
riddle.
will never be solved. Right.
So we'll solve it next week.
We'll solve it next week. No, next week is the spotlight on Train to
Train to
Busan.
Busan, yes.
So if you like to play at home, play along at home, rather. We all like to play at home. If you like to play along at home, then go ahead and watch that on Amazon Prime, I believe it is.
I believe it was. I think it's on Sky as well. Or
It's
Oh, you
probably-
said it
no,
was ITVX.
ITVX. It's on there for free.
The freshest
Although
streaming.
You may
platform.
get the odd advert
Yeah,
here or
at least
there,
two
I
or three.
guess.
Cool. So let's start the shutdown procedure, shall we?
Uh-huh.
So as usual, don't forget to like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. It's down there. Add some comments if you like. If we've missed anything about Jeff the Talking Mongoose, Jeff the Talking Mongoose that you know that we don't, because this was some very cursory research done this morning at about 7 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, I'm bound to have missed stuff. Feel free to put it in the comments.
I was
Get
going
a
to say don't
conversation
have
going.
nightmares, but we just talked about Jeff the Talking Bloody Mongoose. So
I'm not sure he would give me nightmares.
Well, I don't know. A bit weird, isn't it?
I
I'm
suppose.
just scared I'm stuck on the Isle of Man.
Well, you get to watch some
Races.
yeah, some bike races.
Oh, good.
Think about it like a Red Bull race.
Yeah, we should do that. The Cult Faction
Is
soapbox.
that the one where you run down the hill and jump in the water?
Yeah.
No,
no,
it's the one where you make a little go kart.
Red Bull do.
I
those
think the
ones
one
as
where you
well.
have to,
Soapbox.
who
It's
goes
a
up
soapbox.
the
You know what a soapbox is?
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't say soapbox. Now I do. I was thinking of the one where you have to jump out the furthest.
Yeah, they do another one of those as well.
Oh yeah, that's the jumping off the pier thing.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Birdman thing.
So that
Anyway.
looks really cool, but I can't.
Can I
swim.
carry on with the shutdown procedure?
Yes.
Time is getting on. Don't forget to rate and review us on your preferred podcast app. Although don't judge us on this one if you're listening on the actual podcast, because the sound is probably going to be appalling. And we apologise for that, and I'll apologise for that in advance
was
before we get
Jeff.
going. Yeah, we'll blame Jeff.
It was Jeff and the Racist Dalek.
No, that's
Who are
fair.
now my new band.
You can follow us on Twitter, X, in
Instagram,
brackets, TikTok,
TikTok,
Facebook.
Twitter.
Facebook, all the social
We're
media
there.
apps.
And if you want to contact us directly via email, you can do so via.
cultfactionpodcast@mail.com.
For all the reviews, news, opinion pieces,
Other shiz.
other shizzles,
Competition sometimes.
competitions
Yeah,
sometimes.
we will announce the winner when I get a chance. Don't worry.
We should do that live, not live, but we should do that on here.
Yeah, we could do.
Anyway,
Cultfaction.com.
cool. That only leaves me to say, my name is Damien Hicks. You've been listening to the Cult Faction Podcast 117, the true story of Jeff the Talking Mongoose.
Still.
It's the true story of Jeff
Okay.
the Talking Mongoose. I will not. It's the true story.
Okay.
I'm not saying the facts in the story are true, but it's the true story. And it's a goodbye from me.
It's a goodbye from me, Paul Hawkins.
And it's a goodbye from me and Jeff and the Racist Dalek.
Sweet. I haven't got to press anything there, have I? So, you threw me then because you didn't give me your real name.
Because you didn't know who we were.
No, I didn't.
If it is,
Like
you
and
get the
subscribe.
full bonus.
Like and subscribe.
Reboot dance.
Hip hop parade! Ho! Hey!
So you come in, you sit on your ass, and you wait for stuff to happen. I am the one that makes that stuff happen.
It's been magic.
And when it
tonight.
goes wrong, it goes wrong.
Racist Dalek strikes.
Racist Dalek. Are we still filming?
Yeah.
Ebony alert.
No,
Ebony alert.
it's me with the remote, you dumbass. It's not voice activated.
You ruined it.